Oh my goodness. Good morning, everybody. Good early morning. Happy hump day. This is good vibes right there. That's what I'm talking about. Little Gordon Lightfoot. Little tribute to Gordon Lightfoot right there in the graveyard shift in the wee hours. Your daily trivia question. This is Michael, by the way. Gordon Lightfoot, of course, passed away a couple days ago. Good music, man. I'm telling you. Simpler times, simpler music. Wow. Okay, moving right along, folks. The answer to the previous trivia question was, of course, if you weren't able to get all those clues, I played the music of the band. Anyways, it was U-2 Spy Plane. And of course, we're talking about the May 1st, 1960 incident between the United States and the Soviet Union. On May 1st of 1960, a United States U-2 spy plane was shot down by the Soviet Union while clearly and obviously conducting photographic aerial reconnaissance deep inside, and I do mean deep inside, literally right in the smack middle of the Soviet territory. The U-2 was hit by a rather large and very powerful, for that time, surface-to-air missile. I've included a picture of it, folks, and this was nothing to play around with. This missile, 1960, this was a pretty powerful surface-to-air missile that the Soviets launched into this thing. And when the pilot parachuted to the ground safely, even though he did do so safely, he was easily captured. Right? That's when the troubles began. Initially, American authorities tried to describe the incident as a loss of a quote, civilian weather research aircraft. Let me ask you this, folks. Where have you heard that before? You have heard that as recent as 2023 when China, the weather balloon, right? Remember that? That's exactly, I mean, you could copy and paste it. That's exactly how they described it, as a civilian weather research balloon gone afoul. We did the same thing in 1960, right? Some things never change. And furthermore, we claimed that it was operated by NASA. I mean, basically, the entire world didn't buy this story. They went, no, I don't think so. And the Soviets, of course, didn't buy the story either. They knew better. And we were forced to admit on a subsequent basis that the mission's true purpose a few days later, when we admitted it a few days later, was, of course, that we were utilizing a spy plane, a U-2 spy plane, to take secret photos of Russia in height of the Cold War. And I do mean in height of the Cold War, 1960, for sure, the Eisenhower administration. Oops. Definitely. That's a big old oops. That's not just an oops, folks. That's an all-you-know-what moment for the United States right there, if I ever heard one. Now, not only that, the Soviets also produced the captured pilot. They just rolled him out on the red carpet and said, not only is it not a weather research aircraft, but here's the pilot that we captured. So we were like, oh yeah, maybe we'll change your story just a little bit, right? The pilot's name was Francis Gary Powers, and they also had parts of the U-2 surveillance equipment, including the photographs. I mean, they were like, listen, folks, we pretty much have all the cards right here, and we're laying them out on the table. They could back their stuff up. In other words, right, and call us out. They were calling us out on BS, quite frankly. Not good, especially in the light of the fact that when you consider Khrushchev and Eisenhower had just met face-to-face at Camp David 1 year before. And this was supposedly in hopes of, on a global basis, of finding a peaceful resolution to the Cold War. Talk about taking 3 steps backwards. All right. Now, additionally, this occurred around 2 weeks before a scheduled opening of an East-West summit in Paris, France, between the two countries, between the United States and Russia, Khrushchev and Eisenhower. Not exactly building a good foundation there for peaceful resolution of things. And lying about it. So let's talk about the U-2 plane. I digress just a little bit. The U-2 was first flown in 1955. It was operational by 1956. It's an intelligence gathering airplane. It was designed by Lockheed. It's a Lockheed brainchild. And the chief engineer was named Kelly Johnson at the time, who came up with the design. And it was built just 9 months after the company received the contract for it. To me, that's pretty impressive. It was flown during the Cold War era over Soviet Union, China, Vietnam, Cuba. It was used extensively to take. So Cuba, of course, if you recall from previous trivia questions in your high school history class, Cuban Missile Crisis. That's how we found out about that. Was a U-2 spy plane. Absolutely, without question. Prior to the Francis Powers being shot down, use of the U-2 spy planes were nothing new, in other words, right? Okay, so the pilot, Francis Powers, was eventually some 2 years later, right after he was put on trial, and they rolled him out and made an example out of him. Of course, he was released back to the United States, but it was in a special exchange of sorts for a Soviet intelligence officer named Rudolf Abel. And this was one of those classic moments where they actually they meet on separate ends of the bridge. They come to the middle of the bridge. This was real stuff, folks. This really went on, right? Then a couple of cool geek factoids. Despite its age, the U-2 spy plane remains an immensely capable reconnaissance and surveillance aircraft. It's quite efficient, actually. The spy plane has proven itself to be too valuable to retire, and it is still very much in service to this day. Used few and far between, of course, because most surveillance stuff in that regard are used by drones. Major Rudolph Anderson Jr. was shot down in a U-2 during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, which I referenced earlier. So that was just 2 years earlier. We were shot down again, right? The 1960 U-2 spy plane incident with the Soviets is considered one of the worst debacles of the Eisenhower presidency, and that was referenced in the trivia question information. He considered it and called it, quote, that stupid U-2 mess. Just a bunch of stupid old U-2 mess. Getting caught, pants down, literally. All right, folks, whatever it is you do to get over that hump day, let's put both feet on the ground and begin our day. But let's do it with a brand new trivia question. Here we go for May 3rd. It's already May, folks. That's what I'm talking about. Be happy about that. Anyways, May 3rd, brand new trivia question. On this day in 1978, a marketer named Gary Thurek sends an advertisement presentation to several hundred users on a system called ARPANET, with the hopes that at least one response would result in a sale. Unfortunately, in doing so, he went down in history as being responsible for the first of this. Poor guy. Good luck, folks. Here's Korn with a little hints. One of my favorite bands. Oh, yeah. Peace out.